No, sir, I don't got no bodies. Don't put me in that conversation in any type of situation. Don't troll with it. Don't rap about it. Don't even speak on it. As Boosie just got a very light sentence in the feds, and I say beating the feds because they wanted prison time from him, but he was able to walk it down.
Pushy just claimed he has more bodies than Lil Boosie, and the streets are losing it. The hip-hop world is buzzing after Pushy posted this insane caption on Instagram, and Boosie allegedly responded in the most unexpected way. Pushy wrote, "Only rapper that has more bodies than me is Lil Boosie," and what followed is nothing short wild. Federal cases, paid hits, a 15-year-old hitman losing sleep at night, and confessions that put multiple people behind bars for life. This isn't just rap beef, it's federal-level drama, and everyone's watching. Lil Boosie, a Baton Rouge legend, built his career on keeping it real and repping the streets harder than most. But behind the fame lies one of the most disturbing murder-for-hire cases in hip-hop history: 15 bodies, a teenage assassin named Marlo Mike, and confessions that shook Louisiana to its core. Now Pooh Shiesty is trolling, claiming he has more bodies than Boosie, and the internet is going wild. To understand why this beef is so dangerous, we have to rewind to the mid-2000s when Boosie was rising the rap game while allegedly running operations far beyond music. Federal investigators and court testimony reveal that Boosie wasn't just rapping about the street life, he was allegedly orchestrating it. Enter Marlo Mike, real name Michael Louding. This kid was only 15 years old when he allegedly became Boosie's personal enforcer. Yeah, you heard that right. A 15-year-old involved in serious street business for a rap star. According to court documents and Marlo Mike's own confession, Boosie was paying him to handle people he had issues with. This wasn't just one or two incidents. It was a systematic operation that affected 15 people. The relationship between Boosie and Marlo Mike was built on loyalty, money, and influence. Marlo Mike looked up to Boosie like a mentor, and Boosie allegedly used that trust to involve this teenager in risky activities. The streets knew something was happening, but nobody was talking. That's how it worked. You stayed quiet or you faced serious consequences. Marlo Mike wasn't a hardened criminal. He was just a kid. After 15 incidents, the weight of what he had done started crushing him. According to testimony, he couldn't sleep, and the memories haunted him. The guilt became too much to handle. Eventually, he went to the authorities and confessed everything: names, dates, locations, and most importantly, Boosie's role in ordering and paying for the actions. According to court documents and Marlo Mike's confession, these 15 incidents weren't random. Each one was allegedly ordered by Boosie for specific reasons: street conflicts, perceived disrespect, or business disputes. The victims included Terry Boyd, who was tragically killed in October 2009. This incident became a major focus of Boosie's trial. According to prosecutors, Boosie allegedly paid Marlo Mike $2,800 to handle Boyd over a dispute. Marcus Thomas, another victim, was reportedly targeted because the street said he had been talking too much, and Boosie wanted him dealt with. Chris Jackson was also targeted, with Marlo Mike testifying that Boosie gave him specific instructions on what to do. The list continues. Daryl Milton, Michael Smith, Kendrick Bishop, all were allegedly involved in Boosie's operation. Each person had a family, loved ones, and lives that were cut short over street conflicts and rap-related disputes. But here's the shocking part. According to Marlo Mike, Boosie didn't just give general instructions. He was specific about how things should be handled, giving details about methods, timing, and precautions. This wasn't random. It was organized and calculated. Marlo Mike told investigators that after each incident, Boosie would pay him in cash. Sometimes a few $1,000s, sometimes more depending on the situation. For a 15-year-old kid from the streets, that money seemed like everything. But as the incidents added up, the money couldn't give him peace. According to court testimony, Marlo Mike began having nightmares. He'd wake up in cold sweats, haunted by memories. He couldn't eat or function normally. The psychological toll of being involved in this at such a young age was overwhelming. By the time he went to the police, he was ready to tell everything. He gave detailed confessions about each incident, provided evidence, and agreed to testify against Boosie in court. The streets called him a snitch, but Marlo Mike said he just couldn't live with what had happened anymore. The trial of Lil Boosie became one of the most watched cases in hip-hop history. In May 2012, Boosie went on trial for first-degree murder of Terry Boyd. with the prosecution's star witness being Marlo Mike himself. On the stand, Marlo Mike gave chilling testimony about how Boosie allegedly ordered the incident involving Boyd. He described in detail what happened, what methods were used, and how much Boosie allegedly paid him. Afterward, the courtroom was silent as this young man, now in his early 20s, recounted his life as a teenager caught up in these events. According to Marlo Mike, Boosie told him that Terry Boyd needed to be taken care of because of ongoing disputes. Marlo Mike said he followed Boyd and waited for the right moment before acting. Afterward, Marlo Mike testified that Boosie paid him $2,800 and told him, "Good job." The defense argued that Marlo Mike might have been lying to reduce his own sentence, painting him as an unreliable witness. Boosie maintained his innocence throughout the trial, claiming he had nothing to do with any of the incidents. But the prosecution presented more than just Marlo Mike's testimony. They had phone records showing communication between Boosie and Marlo Mike, financial records showing payments, and witnesses who overheard relevant conversations. The jury deliberated for hours as the hip-hop community watched closely, waiting to see if one of rap's biggest stars would be convicted. In the end, Boosie was found. The streets erupted in celebration. Boosie walked out of the courtroom a free man on that charge. But the story didn't end there. While Boosie beat the murder charge, Marlo Mike wasn't so lucky. He was convicted of multiple serious crimes and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At just 22 years old, Marlo Mike would spend the rest of his life behind bars for actions he committed as a teenager. The other victims' families never received full closure. While Marlo Mike confessed to 15 incidents, he was only convicted and sentenced for some of them. The legal system couldn't handle every case, leaving many families without resolution. The investigation revealed a dark underworld in Baton Rouge's rap scene. Federal authorities started examining the connections between street crime and the music industry. They found patterns of rappers allegedly using young associates to carry out tasks, paying them in cash and influence. In court, multiple witnesses described the environment surrounding Boosie's crew. They explained a system where loyalty was enforced through fear, and anyone who crossed Boosie or his associates could face serious consequences. The prosecution painted a picture of a criminal network disguised as a rap, labeled it on the streets. Reactions were mixed. Some saw Boosie as a victim of a system trying to target successful black men, while others saw him as someone who allegedly exploited young teens and involved them in dangerous activities. The debate raged in barbershops, on social media, and in hip-hop forums. Throughout the trial, Boosie's family stood by him. His mother, his children, and supporters maintained that he was innocent and being targeted because of his success and his music. They argued that the prosecution was using his rap lyrics against him and unfairly criminalizing his art. By the time Boosie was released from prison in 2014, he had already been serving time on drug charges during the murder trial. The streets had changed. The case had brought attention to Baton Rouge's crime problems, and law enforcement was cracking down harder than ever. Meanwhile, Marlo Mike remains in Angola State Penitentiary, one of the most well-known prisons in America. In interviews from prison, he has expressed remorse for his actions, but the consequences were already irreversible. 15 families lost loved ones, and a young man threw his life away before he was even old enough to vote. Fast forward to 2024, and here comes Pooh Shiesty with an Instagram post. He shared a picture and captioned it something like, "Only rapper that has more bodies than me is Lil Boosie." Immediately, the streets started talking. Was this a diss? Was he trolling? Or was he making a bold claim? Here's the thing about Pooh Shiesty. He has a history of legal trouble. Almost every case he's been involved in has included a shooting. Let me break down his record, because it's wild.
I want to speak on something right quick. I ain't siding with Glorilla, I ain't siding with Brorilla. But I do want to say,
First, let's talk about the King of Diamonds incident in Miami on May 30th, 2020. Pooh Shiesty was allegedly involved in an altercation with a security guard at the strip club. According to witnesses and surveillance footage, an argument broke out, and Pooh Shiesty reportedly pulled out a weapon. The security guard was injured during the incident. This wasn't an accident. It was a serious confrontation in a crowded club. The case suggested that Pooh Shiesty's first reaction in heated situations can escalate quickly. Then there was a Bay Harbor Islands robbery case, which drew federal attention. On October 9th, 2020, Pooh Shiesty and his crew allegedly met two men under the pretense of buying marijuana and high-end sneakers, instead of completing the purchase. Prosecutors say they took the items from the victims by force. During the robbery, one person was injured. Surveillance footage provided clear evidence of Pooh Shiesty's involvement. The federal government charged him with conspiracy related to firearms in connection with drug and violent crimes, as well as using a firearm during a crime. These are serious federal charges with mandatory minimum sentences. In January 2022, Pooh Shiesty pleaded guilty to a single firearms-related charge as part of a plea deal. He was sentenced to 63 months in federal prison. That's over 5 years. He's currently locked up and won't be released until 2026 at the earliest. Even after his release, he will be on supervised release, which means any violation could send him right back to prison. What's really concerning is Pooh Shiesty's pattern of behavior. The King of Diamonds incident and the Bay Harbor Islands case both show that he reacts quickly and escalates situations when tensions rise. So when he posts on Instagram claiming he has bodies, it's not hard for people to believe he might actually mean it. His music also raises serious concerns. In his song FDO First Day Out, Pooh Shiesty raps about sending people to handle problems and making payments to have issues taken care of. He literally says he doesn't have to be there in person and send someone else instead. That mirrors situations similar to what Boosie allegedly did with Marlo Mike. The federal authorities pay close attention when lyrics match up with real-world activity. Pooh Shiesty is already serving federal time for gun charges. If he's openly admitting to handling problems in his music and posting on Instagram about bodies, he's essentially giving prosecutors more material to use in future cases. So whether he is joking, trolling, or serious, the post grabbed everyone's attention, including, allegedly, Boosie's. Sources say Boosie caught wind of Pooh Shiesty's post and wasn't happy, with word on the street suggesting he responded in his own way. Young rappers don't always understand the consequences of what they're saying. They're risking their freedom for Instagram likes. While we can't confirm the exact quote, people close to Boosie say he's not taking this dispute lightly, but he also isn't going to incriminate himself by responding directly. Boosie knows better than anyone what happens when you play these games. He spent years fighting serious charges and narrowly avoided a life sentence. He's not about to give the authorities any reason to come after him again by engaging in social media beef over body counts. This situation highlights a larger problem in hip-hop culture. Young rappers are competing over who is more dangerous, who's more street, and the consequences are real. People are losing their freedom, ruining their futures, and putting themselves at serious risk over social media posts and rap lyrics. Pushy is only 22 years old and already facing serious federal time. Marlo Mike is serving life in prison for actions he committed as a teenager. Boosie beat his case, but he spent years fighting it and dealing with the stigma. These aren't video game characters. These are real people whose lives have been permanently altered by their choices. The fact that Pooh Shiesty would publicly claim to have bodies while already facing federal charges shows how disconnected some young rappers are from reality. The authorities are watching, reading every Instagram caption, listening to every song, and building cases. When you publicly brag about violent actions, you're giving prosecutors evidence to use against you. And let's not forget the victims. 15 people lost their lives in Boosie's case. How many people have been affected in incidents involving Pooh Shiesty? These aren't just numbers or lyrics. These are real human beings with families who love them. The hip-hop community needs to have a serious conversation about this culture of escalation and risk. Yes, keeping it real is important, but so is understanding the real-world consequences.